Welcome to the Know. I'm Ashley. In what should come as no surprise to just about anyone, it's not even news really, it's old, but kind of news. Nintendo could be facing some Switch supply shortages this holiday season. Speaking at Variety's Entertainment and Technology Summit this week, Nintendo of America President Reggie Fils-Aimé said of the console's goals to sell 10 million units through next year. Certainly the demand is there and our supply chain is there. Are we going to have enough for the holiday? That's what we're focused on. That doesn't sound super promising. So if you were hoping you'd be able to wait out all those other Switch hungry shoppers out there and still get one in time for Christmas, maybe get on the hunt now. This is technically Christmas season. I know it's September and it seems super early, and it is super early, but this is the world that we live in. Now, there have been tons of rumors about Nintendo using Switch to delve into VR lately, and fortunately, Reggie did decide to shine some light on the company's VR stance in that very same talk. According to him, the company has no plans to tackle virtual reality anytime soon. He said at the summit, "The problem with VR is that there aren't a lot of experiences that are truly fun." However, he went on to say that nothing is off the table for, well, forever with Nintendo, so maybe something will come out of those rumors after all. It's got the capabilities, they're just not ready to commit yet. You know, they want to keep it casual. It seems like forever that Ubisoft's been fighting off a hostile takeover by media conglomerate Vivendi. We've reported on this a bunch of times, but they're starting to make up some ground thanks to a couple of counter moves. This week, Ubisoft founders, the Guillemot family, bought up another 1.75% ownership of the company, which amounted to a transaction somewhere around 112 million euros, giving them a total of 15.35% ownership. That also gives them around 20% of the voting rights versus Vivendi's 24%. So they almost control their own company. At this point, it is looking like it would be very expensive for Vivendi to pull off its takeover. Some are saying that it would take as much as $6 billion, because for every share that the Guillemots buy back, that's shares that Vivendi is not going to get their hands on anytime soon. Halo fans have been eagerly awaiting the upcoming backward-compatible release for Halo CE Anniversary, Halo 3, ODST, and Halo 4 on Xbox One since, well, the announcement in July. And 343 have finally given something of a progress report on when we can expect to be playing them. In a new blog post, a community manager Sketch wrote, "The Xbox back compat team is hard at work on final polish, and we continue to work closely with them to help test and evaluate all 4 games for launch. We're taking extra time to ensure the experience lives up to fan expectations, but I hear we're making great progress and release should be getting closer. As soon as we have a final date, we'll be sure to let you know." Some of that extra polish could have been useful in the Master Chief Collection, but hey, at least they're taking their time this time around, and we'll kind of take what we can get. Destiny 2's only been out for a couple of days at this point. Already, the game is a roaring success in spite of the complaints about shaders and the microtransactions in general. Like, if that's the biggest issue with the game, you know you're in a pretty good place. Also, there's sales. According to Bungie's most recent blog post detailing the content rollout, over the next few weeks, the game has already reached a guardian audience of millions, with many more expected to join over the coming months. The post also went into what players can expect to be doing during month 1 with a roadmap showing off flashpoints, nightfall strikes, the return of Xur, faction rallies, the launch of the raid, and a bunch more. It'll be really interesting to see what Destiny 2 does player-wise over the long term, especially once PC players are added to that next month. Earlier this summer, some analysts were predicting as many as 3 million PC players in the game's first 3 months, with around 5 million in sales across all platforms in that same time frame. Then the original Destiny was one of those games too that just sold and sold and sold and sold and sold. We can also expect more players to hop on around to Destiny 2's expansions, and now we've got more details about that courtesy of an Xbox Store leak. If you've been paying attention to Destiny 2 news, there won't be a lot of earth-shattering stuff in there. It basically just confirms what Kotaku reported last week. The next DLC, which is going to be available in December, is called Curse of Osiris. It takes place on Mercury, and of course it's going to feature loads of new gear. It's like the 3rd or 4th Destiny-related leak out of the Microsoft Store, so lock it up, Xbox. Anyway, maybe it's a grudge. Maybe they're just bitter. They're just like, you know what, have all the information. Unlikely. Is an HD version of Okami coming to the PC too? Okay, this is best news of the day. Okay, we reported that Capcom is working on a port of the game for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One before. That's not news. It is lovely, but not news. But the Master Race might be getting a little bit of love too. Some internet sleuths found a rating from the Korean game rating board for the game on the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. Sadly though, no Switch version, which is a shame. It would be so good on the Switch and you'd draw the spells instead. Anyway, Okami originally launched for PlayStation 2 back in 2006. There were ports for the Wii in 2008. That was the one where they stole their own box art image from screenshots on IGN, which was weird. And then there was PS3 in 2012. Capcom hasn't officially announced anything yet, but with all these ratings, that might change soon. It looks like an XForce movie is finally starting to take shape. Deadline reports that it will be written and directed by Daredevil's Drew Goddard, and the movie will apparently feature Deadpool, played by Ryan Reynolds, with Josh Brolin as Cable joining in the fun too. He looks amazing as Cable, by the way, based on the preview images for Deadpool 2. As for the plot, Deadline says the movie will feature Deadpool and Cable leading a Black Ops force of down and dirty mutant warriors who are far more ruthless than their X-Men counterparts. No release date yet, but it's another example of Fox, which owns the film rights to the X-Men universe, continuing to crank out movies of some kind of X. X-Men Dark Phoenix, Deadpool 2, X-Men The New Mutants are all scheduled to hit theaters next year. A lot of those we haven't heard too much about yet, but, well, since they're next year, I'm sure that'll change soon. Stephen King's It officially hits theaters today to scare everyone's pants off, and plans for a sequel are already in the works. The Hollywood Reporter says that New Line Cinema is already lining up the pieces for a second movie, which would follow the same characters, but as adults. As you know, the book was split into two different time periods. Gary Doberman, one of its screenwriters, has closed a deal to write the sequel, and Andy Muschietti, who directed the new film, could possibly return as well. The original book goes between these two different time periods. It shows the protagonists as children and adults. The film adaptations, well, this film adaptation only shows them as children, so possibly leaves room for a sequel where they come back as adults. Clever move, Hollywood. So it hits theaters today. If you see it, let me know just how scary it is. I apparently have tickets and have agreed to see it, even though I'm really scared. We've reported that Disney plans to start its own streaming service to show off its Disney and Pixar content, but we didn't know what would happen to stuff like Marvel and Star Wars movies, which are also owned by Disney, but they recently signed an agreement with Netflix saying that their stuff would appear there. Are they gonna stay on the streaming services like Netflix? Well, it turns out no. They'll be heading to the new Disney service as well. Disney CEO Bob Iger said recently that Star Wars and Marvel movies would also be part of the new streaming bundle. He added, we're going to launch big and we're going to launch hot. Big blow for Netflix, which has an exclusive deal to stream new Disney films, but that does end in 2019, coincidentally, when the new streaming service starts. Okay, maybe that's not a coincidence. Is one of the biggest toy store chains broke? This is a blow to all of our childhoods. It's tough out there for brick and mortar retailers these days, just all around, and word is that Toys R Us is looking to possibly file for bankruptcy in order to get rid of its massive debt. How massive is that debt? Well, the company currently owes $5 billion and around $400 million that is due by next year. The retailer has hired a law firm to weigh its options and will make an official announcement on how it's going to deal with that debt on September 26th, but that doesn't look too good. We've got another case of a big company getting hacked and exposing your personal information, but this one, look, we've had a lot of these. Yahoo was huge in scale, it was 1 billion accounts, but this one involves Equifax, one of the 3 major credit reporting agencies, which keeps information on pretty much everyone, including social security numbers, driver's license numbers, you know, super personal stuff. Equifax said the hackers accessed data that possibly affects 143 million consumers, making it a huge privacy breach of very, very sensitive information. Credit card numbers for 209,000 consumers were also stolen. So yeah, pretty unsettling stuff overall. Oh, and 3 Equifax managers sold some of their company's stock right before news of the hack broke when the stock tanked. So yeah, shady people on all sides of this story. Everyone's a villain. That's the news we have for you for this roundup. We probably want to send you off really quickly to update your social security numbers or something. Make sure you let us know what you think of all these stories in the comments below as you take off, and to make sure you get news from every corner of the internet in case something like these happens again. Like this video if you're new here, subscribe to the Now. This week, Nintendo of America President Reggie Fils-Aimé said of the console's sales goals, okay. Speaking of Variety's Entertainment and Technology Summit this week, Nintendo of America President Reggie Fils-Aimé said of the console's goals to sell 10 million copies